This is insane! Recently, I beat Pokemon Scarlet using nothing but Quaxly. Mostly. So I decided to do the same thing in the Teal mask. I got a call from Jacques telling me I won a trip to Kitakami, which amazingly turned out not to be a scam. I met Briar, who's supposed to chaperone the field trip, as well as 3 other kids who don't have names. And pretty soon, we were off to Kitakami. We arrived and one of the other kids immediately felt like he was gonna throw up. So I went to go get help, but was immediately stopped by Border Patrol. Kieran, who gives off quiet kid vibes, and Carmine, who is just straight up racist. She wanted to battle me, but was no match for level 100 Quaxly. I wonder if all the fights will be this easy. This old bald guy showed up and scared them away. I told him one of the nameless classmates was sick and he rushed off to help, and then brought them back to town weirdly quickly, and then we all went to bed. The next day we were told to pair up and find 3 signboards across Kitakami, and after beating him in a battle, I paired up with Kieran. We went to 2 of the signboards, which told a story about a time an ogre attacked the village. 3 Pokemon called the Loyal 3 defended the village and took 3 of the ogre's 4 masks. This weakened the ogre, but they all died in the process. Kieran said he thought the ogre was cool and took me to where it supposedly lived. We had a short battle and then realized the sun was going down, so we went back to get ready for the festival. I met Kieran and Carmine's grandparents, who gave me a new set of clothes, but they only had 2 masks, and even though Carmine already had one, she still decided to fight me for it. I tried just spamming acrobatics, but her Morpeko was able to paralyze me with Thunder Wave and hit me with an Aura Wheel. It went down and I was able to one-shot Swadloon, but then her Sinistcha was able to finish me off. This time I gave Quaxly a Cherry Berry so it could heal its own paralysis. I also used Work Up to raise my attack. Morpeko tried to use Thunder Wave, but it missed. I used Liquidation, but it survived with 1 HP thanks to its Focus Sash. It used Thunder Wave again, and this time it hit, but Quaxly was able to heal its paralysis with the Cherry Berry. I finished it off with Aqua Jet, and then one-shot Swadloon and Sinistcha with Acrobatics. With that out of the way, we went to the festival, ate some candy apples, played a round of Ogre Oustin, and met the Ogre, who my character thought was a child for some reason. It dropped its mask and ran away, and Carmine decided we should tell her grandfather in the morning, and also that we should keep it a secret from Kieran for some reason. So the next day we talked to the grandfather and he told us that the story was actually backwards. The ogre, whose name is Ogerpon and is adorable, didn't attack the village. The Loyal 3 attacked her and she killed them in retaliation. And for some reason we decided to still keep all this from Kieran, something we were completely successful at. Anyway, it turned out the Teal mask had been damaged in the fall, so we left it with the grandfather to fix it. I met up with Kieran and we went to the last signboard. It basically said don't leave the village without a mask or Ogerpon will steal your soul. Kieran, who definitely doesn't know the truth about Ogerpon, asked for a battle. His Yanma went down pretty easily, but his Dipplin was able to survive in acrobatics. It used Syrup Bomb, which did a lot of damage and decreased my speed. I made the mistake of trying to finish it off with Aqua Jet, which allowed it to get in another Syrup Bomb. After that, his fur was able to take me down. This time I started with Work Up, which left me vulnerable to a Giga Drain from Yanma, but it didn't do too much damage. After taking out Yanma, thanks to the Work Up, I was able to one-shot Dipplin, and it was the same for Furret and Poliwrath too. With the assignment done, I went back to town, and the next day went to go get the Teal mask back. But it turned out, in order to fix the mask, we would need crystals from this place called the Crystal Pool. So we went there and fought a Milotic, which Carmine basically beat on her own, and we found the crystals we needed. Then Briar showed up and Carmine turned into a Karen, and Briar said some stuff about the Crystal Pool being related to terastallizing. Anyway, we brought back the crystal and found out Kieran stole the Teal mask. So we tracked him down and he wanted to battle for it. His team hadn't really changed though, so I was just able to use the same strategy as before. After he lost, he got mad and punched the altar, which resurrected the Loyal 3. For some reason. Anyway, they immediately left to go get the other 3 masks and then went after Ogerpon. We chased them down and scared them off, then tracked each of them down to take back the masks. I started with Okidogi. I thought this fight would be easy because I have a flying type move and Okidogi's a fighting type, but I was only able to take half its health before going down. Fortunately, Carmine was able to handle it from there. Next up was Monkey Dory, and I didn't really have to even do anything. Carmine's entire team seems to be set up for handling with psychic types. This left only Pheasantipity, and that fight was easy. We got terrible RNG with the paralysis, and it didn't even matter. Get this thing out of here. Now that we retrieved all the masks, we went with Kieran to show everyone in the village how cute Ogerpon was, and then we went back up the mountain where I somehow ended up in a literal custody battle with Kieran over Ogerpon. Kieran's Shift Tree survived in acrobatics thanks to its Focus Sash, which allowed it to get in a Leaf Blade before I was able to finish it off with Aqua Jet. He then sent in Probopass, which survived Liquidation thanks to its Sturdy ability, allowing it to finish off Quaxly with Zap Cannon. I tried giving Quaxly a Citrus Berry, but this didn't heal it enough to survive the Zap Cannon. This time I healed Quaxly with a Max Potion, allowing it to survive Probopass's Zap Cannon. However, it got paralyzed and couldn't move on the next turn, allowing Probopass to land another Zap Cannon. Quaxly used Liquidation, which took Probopass down to 1 hit point, but caused it to eat its berry, raising its special attack. Zap Cannon missed, allowing me to finish off Probopass with Aqua Jet. Kieran sent in Dipplin, and I used a Full Restore to heal Quaxly and cure its paralysis. I got hit with a Syrup Bomb and then used Acrobatics.
Nice.
The crit allowed Quaxly to one-shot Dipplin, and Kieran sent in Poliwrath. It used Belly Drum, but Quaxly was able to take it out with an Acrobatics before it could use any of that extra attack. Kieran then sent in Gliscor, who used Earthquake. Quaxly barely survived and was able to one-shot it with Liquidation. This just left his Yanmega. I used another Max Potion to heal, but got hit with 2 Bug Buzzes. Quaxly then took most of Yanmega's health with Acrobatics, then finished it off with Aqua Jet. Finally. Now that I'd beaten Kieran, it was time for me to actually catch Ogerpon. I used Work Up to raise my attack and tanked an Ivy Cudgel. I then one-shot the Hearthflame Mask with Liquidation, and two-shot the Wellspring Mask with Acrobatics, tanking another Ivy Cudgel in the process. I then one-shot the Cornerstone Mask, but got one-shot myself by the Teal Mask. This time I took out the first 3 masks like before, but I gave Quaxly an X speed while I was fighting the Wellspring Mask. And thanks to the speed boost, this time I was able to outspeed Ogerpon with the Teal Mask and one-shot it with Acrobatics. I know it's not a Quaxly, but there's no option to not catch it, so I can just keep it in the box. This just left one final battle against Carmine. I decided to put Ogerpon on my party and just reset if I end up having to use her. Carmine sent out Mightyena, whose Intimidate lowered Quaxly's attack. I two-shot it with Liquidation, and Carmine sent out Morpeko. I used Liquidation, but wasn't able to one-shot it with my attack lowered. This allowed it to get it in a Thunder Wave, which paralyzed me and meant I couldn't move on the next turn. Morpeko got in an Aura Wheel before I was able to finish it off with Aqua Jet. She then sent in Leavanny, who immediately one-shot me with Leaf Blade. This time I used Work Up twice to counteract Mightyena's Intimidate, and Mightyena just used Howl, so I was able to one-shot it without even taking any damage. However, Morpeko still survived Liquidation thanks to its Focus Sash, and again it paralyzed me before I finished it off with Aqua Jet. Carmine then sent in Leavanny, who once again one-shot me with Leaf Blade. This time I didn't use Work Up and just used Liquidation right away. I did get hit with a Crunch, but I was still able to two-shot it. I used Liquidation on Morpeko, who again paralyzed me with Thunder Wave. But this time I had given Quaxly a Cherry Berry, so it was able to heal the paralysis on its own. I finished off Morpeko with Aqua Jet, and Carmine sent in Leavanny. Since I wasn't paralyzed this time, I was able to outspeed Leavanny and one-shot it with Acrobatics. Carmine sent in Sinistcha, and I used Acrobatics, but it wasn't quite enough to knock it out, and it was able to use Matcha Gotcha. I finished it off with another Acrobatics, which left only Carmine's Ninetales left. It burned me with Will-O-Wisp, but I was able to two-shot it with Liquidation and Aqua Jet. And with that, the final battle of the Teal Mask was complete. Good thing that's the hardest thing I'll ever have to do with a Quaxly. Uh-oh.